And people don't necessarily realize a lot of times the weight of words. You know what I mean? A lot of people just say whatever they feel and they think they can come back and apologize and it be okay. But a lot of times words can burn you down emotionally to nothing.
How did it feel when you ran into people like that who you expected to behave a certain way and to have a certain attitude because they were Christians, and yet they just kept tearing you down all of those years that you were serving in Christian music in your early 20s?
Yeah, that was a hard lesson. Like when you were reading that story, and I'm reliving it right here.
Yeah, I can see the tears.
Yeah. It's not that wasn't a good moment at all. I learned. I think our parents did a great job of in some ways sheltering us from what you might be facing, even in Christendom. You know what I mean? What might come. One thing about that is that which is a whole other thing. It's the concept that when you are in ministry, you're supposed to drive yourself into the ground for the sake of reaching people and ministering to people. You're supposed to sacrifice your well-being for that. That is a myth. That will ruin your life if you feel like that is what you're supposed to be doing as a believer, is hyperextending yourself. You can't. Obviously, it sounds cliche, but you can't minister from a place of being empty like that. Yeah. And I was taught earlier on that through this experience that you're talking about, that's what it was going to be.
Yeah, and we hadn't seen that growing up.
No.
Like, our family didn't come to a place of collapse because mom and dad were so busy building the church that they didn't attend to the six of us, to our family life together. So when you experience that out on the road of everybody being dog-tired and ignoring even their own physical health, right, you were like, what is this?
Yeah. And I always speak up. If I feel like something, and that wasn't really appreciated in that whole scenario that you were painting right there, or that I painted in the book. So to hear those words come at me, I could not believe that was happening. But I couldn't believe, I still can't believe those words were said to my face.
Did you believe any of it? When you were told, you know what, you will never accomplish anything more than where you are right now, at the time you're like 22 years old, did any of that stick with you, and sort of, did you have to fight through any of that to feel like, you know what, this isn't it for me?
Yes, it did. Those words do stick with me, and people don't necessarily realize a lot of times the weight of words. You know what I mean? A lot of people just say whatever they feel, and they think they can come back and apologize and it be okay. But a lot of times words can burn you down emotionally to nothing. And
Life
then you
and
have
death
to
are in the
rebuild.
power.
Yeah, you have to rebuild that. And a lot of times the apology doesn't help you rebuild it. Like, you have to, so those words did that to me. And I feel like I got to a point where I was like, I got to go to counseling. I got to get this together, because I cannot get up on the stage anymore. And this is years later. I can't get up on the stage anymore and sing these songs from a place of emptiness, or from a place of wondering if I'm good enough or valuable enough. And I do believe that came, the belief that I wasn't good enough started with those words. And it lasted years and years. I mean, you know, that was almost 20 years ago that was said to me, and it lasted that long.
But one of the people that the Lord sent into your life to help rebuild you and reposition you and love you back to life was our brother, Kirk Franklin.
Yes.
Talk to us about Kirk Franklin.
Well, right after I finished this, that chapter, Kirk actually called me. You know, you get calls from people. He started coming to our church. When you get calls from people like that who say they want to work with you, you're like, I'll never talk to you again. Like, after this, you know, he was like, you ready to come with me? And I was like, yeah. But he held up his end of that phone call. I got off of that bus and walked onto his, and that was right when he was releasing the Rebirth record. Y'all remember that record?
Yeah.
With Hosanna and Brighter Day and all these amazing songs. So being able to tour the world with him at 22 years old, he taught me about the 23 hours of a day that we spend off of a stage. That's what was important to him, and I watched him pursue faith in God off of a stage.
Integrity.
Yes, he was all about growth, and to be able to watch that and to be doing it at this scale, like a 22-year-old going on a world tour for a year and a half with him, and Yolanda Adams was there, Donnie McClurkin was there, and Yolanda in the middle of the tour was like, come sing with me too. So I was on stage most of the night singing for these, you know, these gospel greats, and they were investing in my life. So God was giving back to me what was really taken away in that moment. I don't want to sound like victimish and, you know, all that stuff, but yeah. So yeah, Kirk was an amazing blessing that I mentioned that I got to a point, though, having years of, we're everywhere, anywhere you can think of.
Royal Albert Hall, you talk about in
My-
London where you sang there.
Yeah,
and
my
so-
first event with him was in London, and Kirk, I come from this world of everything's, planned, and you sing this note here, and Kirk is just all over the place and handed me a microphone in the middle of the middle of his event. I remember he handed me the microphone, and I was like,
Y'all know how Kirk does when he just hands a singer a microphone and goes, go at it, do the thing.
and I didn't come from that. So I was like, what's wrong with you? You sick? You good? Why are you handing me the mic? Like, what you... So, those are some great memories. He taught me about singing from my soul, not just being a technician, but singing from my soul and my heart. But over time, I started to take that for granted. The blessing that he gave me, I started to take that for granted.
Was it like entitlement that you felt like after a little while, you felt like, you know what? He trusts me with this microphone. He trusts me with this stage.
Yeah, I think the same thing I did with Kirk, what I do with God sometimes. And when the blessings keep coming, you can get comfortable, and then you start to shift toward not being responsible with
the blessing.
blessing.
Yep.